Right. Super. Okay, so I hope you guys did your homework. Guys, are you serious? 7.2, 7.3. When we did the theory side, remember? I did say need to do 7.2 and 7.3. And then we are going to go through it together. Okay? So, under the required, calculate the effect of the existing transfer pricing system has on the company profits. Okay, and then the second part there it says calculate the impact on company profits if the transfer price were changed to 13 Rand 20 cents per unit. Okay, right. And then up top it says Division X manufactures a single standardized component. Okay, so Division X manufactures a single standardized component. Some of its output is sold externally, and the remainder transferred to Division Z, where the component is used as an input in the manufacturing process. Then you can see unit costs of Division X are as follows. Okay, so these are the unit costs of Division X. That sells a component to Division Z and sells that same component externally. Just checking that we're recording. Okay. All is in order. The mic is on. Sharp. Then it goes on to tell us 11,000 units of X products are sold externally. So now they're giving us the actual units that are being sold externally at a standard price of 33 Rand per unit. Then they say 5,500 units are transferred internally to Division Z at a transfer price of 32 Rand per unit. The transfer price is obtained by deducting variable selling prices from external selling prices. Okay? Right. So we go on. It says Division Z uses the component to manufacture its final product. The units of this product are as follows. The units of this product are as follows. So you got the component, the unit cost, sorry. You've got the component Division X, the 32 Rand that they just told us about, that we have to buy from Division X. You've got direct materials, direct labor, variable overheads, fixed overheads, and then variable selling expense. The manager of Division Z is disputing the method used to determine the transfer price of the component. The manager believes that the transfer price should be calculated as a variable cost plus an agreed markup. In light of this, head office undertook an investigation of the relationship between demand and selling price of each division. The findings are as follows. So there you can see Division X, all right, if we sell that component at 22 Rand, we're going to sell 16,500 units. If we sell that component at 35 Rand, we're going to sell 5,500 units. And then for Division Z, we're basically saying the final product that it produces, if we sell it at 88 Rand, we're going to sell 7,900 units. If we sell it at 110 Rand, the final product, we're going to sell only 3,000 units. Okay? So then it goes on to say the manager of Division Z is of the belief that this investigation proves his theory and that the transfer price of 13 Rand 20 cents would be appropriate, as it would give Division X a reasonable contribution to cover its fixed costs while allowing Division Z to earn a profit. In addition, he says that it would increase output and improve overall company profits. Okay? A lot of assumptions here that this guy is making. So we now need to see if he is telling the truth. Is it better for them to charge less for the component that they're charging division Z? That's what this exercise is all about. So first things first, calculate the effect of the existing transfer pricing system has on the company profits. Okay, right. So what do we need to do? First things first, you need to get your variable cost per unit for each of the divisions. Remember, division X is the component, and for division Z, it's the final product. So here, if we look at the total cost per unit for division X, it's this 16 Rand 40 cents, isn't it? But within that, if you look at the cost, you see that there's a fixed manufacturing overhead, is it? Are we going to include that in our variable cost? Nope, we can't. We can't. Oops. So then our variable cost should then be 12 Rand. So that should be 12 Rand per component. That's the variable cost. Then, in terms of division Z, we see there that the variable cost is is going to be basically, it's going to be that 87 Rand 50. And then you're going to minus the fixed overhead as well, minus your 13. You're going to minus the component aspect for now, at least, 32. What else? Is there anything else that shouldn't be there? Or then you're going to add this 12 Rand, this variable cost that we pay for the component, or to cover the component. So you're going to add that because we don't have that cost in that breakdown there for division Z. Okay, and then you're going to minus the 1 Rand selling expense. And that's this variable selling expense for the component, which you find in the first table, not the selling expense. Because we're basically looking at, remember, the first is calculate the effect of the existing transfer pricing system has on the company profits. So we first want to see what would be the cost if we were to say, remember, division Z pays 32 Rand for every component, right? So now we want to see, okay, what would be the variable cost if they actually paid the variable cost of the component and not that markup? Because the cost of the component is only 12 Rand. Does that make sense? But division X is charging more. So we're saying, okay, if they don't charge more, let's see what the cost will be. And then at a later point, we're also going to calculate the cost with the 32 Rand, which is what they're actually paying, and then see the difference or see the impact of the current transfer pricing system. Okay, right. So let's see now. Oh, sorry, this should be 87.50. Forgot the 50 cents there. So here there's also a 50. Okay, so now we have our variable costs. Our variable costs. Why is my R very weird there? Okay, whatever. Let's go on. So now we're saying the optimal output of intermediate product, or in other words, the component. I don't know why they changed and started using intermediate product, but oh well. So we're now looking at division X, the sales and the selling price and the demand. So here we can start off by saying, okay, we know that at 16,500 units, we are having a selling price of 22 Rand for division X. And here we have 11,000. And our price point there is 28 Rand. And here, 35. And there we have how many units? 5,500. Okay, so again, now we're using the variable cost that we've just calculated, which is 12 Rand. Let me just copy that. Plug that in there. So what is now our contribution margin per unit? It's 10 Rand here, 16 Rand here, and 23 Rand. Okay, so obviously to find our total contribution margin or contribution, we're obviously just going to say 10 times the number of units, and voila. Okay, 16 times the number of units, and there you go. And then finally, 23 times 5,500, and yeah, there you go. I'm sure you're getting the point. So we then have to do the same thing for division Z. Okay, so again, 7,900. Yes, 88 Rand, we can do that now. Next one is 99. Last one is 110. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. And the variable cost here was 53.50. Okay. Yeah. Copy and paste. Okay, right. So now, same process. 88 Rand minus 53 Rand 50. What do we get? 34.50. Next one. 45.50. And the final one. 56.50. So where I've highlighted in yellow is just to show where we are receiving the most bang for our buck. So this selling point is most attractive because that's where we get the biggest contribution margin. Can you see that? Is it making sense? Okay, so this final one, what did we do? Here we're now saying the optimal output. Sorry, let me scroll up. Remember I said we would come back to see what division Z is actually paying currently, right? So we know they are paying 32 Rand per component, isn't it? And they're paying the 25 Rand, I forgot what it's for, but all this is the same. And then plus the variable selling price. And that gives us then a variable cost of 74 Rand 50. So that's what they're actually paying now for every final product that they produce. Okay. So there's your variable cost. There's our selling price, same as before, but obviously now since we have a different variable cost, we're also going to have a different contribution margin per unit. So let's see, what is our contribution margin per unit? 13.50. Next one. And finally, 35.50. Super. Okay, now that we have that, we can now see that, oh, okay, so this is what we are actually have been trying to calculate this whole time. We've been trying to see what is the profits of the company under the current existing profits, or sorry, existing transfer policy. So here are your group profits. Let me highlight this quickly. Okay, so for division X, we're basically saying now, we know, let me say this before we actually look at this. We know that currently, division Z only utilizes 5,500 units. They told us that in the question. Remember when they said externally, how much do we sell externally? They told us, ne? 11,000 units, right? And then they told us that division Z buys how much? Okay, so the information was given to us, right? Okay, so we have that. So here we're saying, okay, cool. The 5,500 units times your, this is your selling price, isn't it? To division Z, right? The 32, because here's the selling price, here is the part of your variable cost. So you've got your 32 Rand, and then we have to deduct the selling price. From the selling price, we have to deduct the variable costs. So if you look there, direct materials, that's where we're getting the 4 Rand 40. 2 Rand 20 is coming from direct labor, another 2 Rand 20 from direct expenses, and then your final 2 Rand 20 is coming from your variable manufacturing overhead, okay? Which leads us to a contribution margin of 21 Rand per unit, okay? Let me just put that in purple, okay? And so that 21 Rand per unit times the 5,500 is giving you your 115,500. All right. Then we do the exact same thing for division Z, but we already actually did the calculation. It's what we did over there. 5,000 units at a price of 99 Rand. Okay, you'll see it's exactly the same. Okay, and so we then have a contribution margin of 134,750 for division Z, and you add those together and you obviously get your total contribution or profit. Yes. Why do we have that? For division X, this is the selling price. How much are we selling each component to division Z? Because think of it like this, division Z's variable cost, you're fine, okay. Super. And this is also, well, this we have no issue with anyway. Okay, so there we are. So now we know the impact. In fact, let's say the effect, but I would actually just say we know the profit that we would earn, all right, under the current transfer pricing system. We then go to the second part of the question, and it says, calculate the impact on the company profits if the transfer price were changed to 13 Rand 20 per unit. All right, what is the impact? Okay, so here now we say to ourselves, okay, cool, let's calculate. First and foremost, you have to start here. I filled out the table because I now think you get the point as to how to fill out this table, right? But your starting point is here. There's your starting point. So we're saying it costs division Z 13 Rand 20 per component, okay? And then plus your other variable costs to make your final product, right? So our variable cost per final product, is she telling you the truth or she's lying? You don't seem convinced. Okay, so you got 55 Rand 70 cents. Okay, so here is where we need to put that in 55.70, and it's the same all the way down. Okay. All right. So again, if you minus the selling price from your variable cost, you get these contribution margins. And then once you have those contribution margins, you'll times them by the number of units. Okay. Now, you can see here, this is where we earn the most profit. So this is how many units we are going to buy. Does that make sense? There's no point in buying 5,500 units when we're going to earn less. There's no point in buying 3,000 units when we're going to earn less. All right. So we're definitely going to buy 7.9. So we then have to ask ourselves a question. We know that under the old setup, it was 11,000 units externally and 5,500 units internally to Division Z, which gave us a total of 16,500 units, okay, being sold by Division X. Now, we're saying, okay, we're going to take up 7,900 of those units as Division Z. So how much then are they going to sell externally? Only 8,600 units will be sold externally, okay? Right. So now that we have that, we can now calculate to say, okay, what then is your contribution from a Division X? Internally, you've got, remember they're selling this time only for 13 Rand 20, and then minus their variable costs on that component, which will leave you at a contribution margin of 2 Rand 20 cents. So 2 Rand 20 cents times your 7,900 is what's getting you to the 17,380. Then they also have the external sales, okay? 8,600, okay? You're still selling it at 33 Rand. All right, then minus your variable cost, 22 Rand, is going to be your final contribution margin times the 8,600, which is going to give you your contribution from the external sales. And then finally, you need to calculate, or you don't need to calculate it because we calculated it already. So it's a copy and paste there. And so you then find your total profit. If you are to charge 13 Rand 20 cents, is obviously going to be 461, 750. Everybody happy? So this is the focus of your learning unit 7. They are making you assess different transfer pricing strategies or systems. Okay, so here obviously we've basically just validated the manager's claim of Division Z, who are saying if we reduce the cost of the component to our Division Z, the company will actually make more profit. Okay, so that, ladies and gentlemen, is your 7.2. Yes, ma'am. In steps. The thing about it is, especially with this one, it doesn't have like standard steps that you can follow because the manner in which they ask the questions is different. So your calculations may begin or end at different points. Does that make sense? But at the end of the day, the key thing is you want to be able to find the contribution under different pricing systems. So you want to compare your current to another potential pricing system. That's at the core of what you're doing. You're comparing to see what is most profitable. Okay, where do we get the most contribution margin? And here they were only using contribution margin because they didn't actually tell us about, well, they did tell us fixed overhead. But I see within the question, they didn't actually utilize that. But in the next question, 7.3, you see them using the fixed costs. So that's very interesting. But yeah. But I hope that makes sense, where you just say, okay, what are the pricing systems, and you compare the profits or the returns of both. Yeah. Cool. So I think we can start with the next one. So let me just quickly. Or maybe let's do this theory question. No, it's fine. Let's start with the next one. Yeah. Well. Okay, let me go back and then we look at it. You said thereby. Okay. Here. This one, eh? So if you look at that 16 Rand 14, eh? That's the total cost per unit. So it actually includes the 1 Rand. Where? Division X here. So here we've got the 32. So remember, we're charging it, but we're charging it externally. Because remember here, when we were looking at the 12 Rand, it was when we were, it's including the variable cost, right? But we were looking at only division X. Can you see that? When we started looking at division, at this division, where's our calculation for here? Can you see we minus the 1 Rand? So can you see we're minusing the 1 Rand when it comes to division Z, because that variable selling expense is an expense for division X. It's not an expense for division Z. Is that making sense now? And likewise, when we go and look at in the 87 Rand 50, which again is the total cost for the final product of division Z, we do not deduct that 1 Rand, the selling expense, because that expense is for this division. Does it make sense? Because remember there, we're calculating the variable cost. So the variable cost, we're saying, what is the variable cost for this division for this product or this component? Is it making sense? So one of those things that you have to go over, because even from my side, when I was revising it, it's something I also looked at.
So like the 5.5.
5.5? Yes. So take me there, show me on the screen, then I can. Should I go up? Or am I fine? This one? Okay. Okay. Here. Division X. Okay. So this is the selling price, isn't it? Then we're deducting our variable costs, isn't it? So here again, so here we got our 440. So what was your question again? Remind me your question. Why aren't we adding the 1 Rand? Why aren't we minusing it? So here we're saying 32. Oh, this 32, we had already removed it. We had already removed it there. Because remember here it says, let's read the question. It says, division Z, no, let me start from the beginning. 5,500 units are transferred internally to division Z at a transfer price of 32 Rand per unit. The transfer price, this is where the statement they then make, the transfer price is obtained by deducting variable expenses from external selling price. So when it comes to our internal, we are not charging that variable selling price. So it's, I guess it's part of the policy. Right. So here we go. We're now doing 7.3. It's actually easier than 7.2, at least in my opinion. So here they're saying Ludo and let's read the required first actually. Calculate the monthly profit position. Sorry, let me do this actually before we go any further. Let's do this.